Hello, my name is Lauren Cephas, and I'm the Vice President of the Black Commission. And thank you for joining us on the podcast, Sharing Space. As I've stated in the past, sharing space is very important to bring together a lot of grassroots organizations here within Jacksonville, Florida. Today, we have some beautiful guests, Black women of the movement here in Jacksonville, Florida, current movement. And we're going to have a discussion today just talking about what it means to be a Black woman in the movement, our experiences, whether they are full of happiness or through full of disdain, because sometimes we meet a lot of bureaucratic mess. We're just here to talk and chit chat and exchange how we feel. So first, I'm going to ask, starting with Nubian, to please introduce yourself, talk about who you are, a little bit about your background, and also what drives you to be part of the movement.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Well, first of all, my name is Nubian Roberts. I am deemed in my community as the Mother of the Revolution. I am a grassroots organizer that got my start really working around voting rights. I'm an advocate for voting, mainly for the Black community in voting. I did a lot of work around getting Amendment 4, which was a bill that came out to help returning citizens, people with felonies on their records, to be able to get their voting rights back. And that kind of was the beginning and the start for me. As a person who was doing petitions, I realized Jacksonville was in a strange place when it came to voting rights and the Black community. So I just really immersed myself into that campaign, and in that campaign I found my, divine passion for really working as an activist and an advocate in the community. So that's kind of what I do in the community. I got my hands in a little bit of everything. I work still grassroots on the ground with the community, just kind of educating them around things that are happening. I spend a lot of time with young people in the community, just getting a feel for what they would like to see in their future, because pretty much all the work that I do now is for them. Um, the work is hard. It's tough, and it's very time consuming. And a lot of times I find myself in a lot of different, issue bases. But overall, my passion, though, and my purpose in life is to be a doula, which is just to bring babies into the world, which is what I work on in the midst of, doing all my advocating and activism. So that's what I'm here doing in Jacksonville. And I absolutely, love being a person who, is recognizable as a person who works in the community. That makes my heart feel good because I'm from California, and folks don't know me from activism in California. They know me from raising hell in California. So it's kind of good to, like, be in a place where I'm doing some positive things, instead of, destructive or radical in a bad way. So it just feels good to be able to contribute to this community now, that I'm older, in a real positive way, because I feel like, we could be a great progressive city, but it's going to take a lot of work from, a lot of people, men and women. And we need the people to come from our community, because who better can serve our community and speak for our community than us?
Right. And
Hopefully.
it's a pleasure to see you grow, Nubian, because I think I met you when you were actually going person to person with a clipboard, getting people to sign petitions. And I saw you at so many places. By the time I saw you, I think at the third place, I was helping explain to people what you were trying to do. I think I was in line. I was in line. Me and my daughter were in line trying to get book bags. And you were a couple people back and just trying to get people going from person to person. a long line, probably like 100 people, and you were just trying to get these petitions signed. And the lady, I think, in front of me or back of me was like, "What are you trying to do?" So I just turned around and explained because I had heard your spiel so much.
I was so happy to have that help, okay? Because sometimes it takes,
Right,
different people to
right.
communicate. But thank you for that day.
Yeah, but you also have grown so much since that day. That was years ago.
Yeah.
And now look at you as being recognized as a mother of the revolution, but you've also just been out there, just putting your fist up and joining people in advocacy. So I think that's just a wonderful thing to see your growth.
Oh, well,
Now,
thank
Miss
you.
Lashonda,
Yes. Hi, Lauren. Thank
hi. You know how I found out about you is you were running for office and you were at FSCJ
you.
and you were giving a speech, and I just thought that you were so robust and had so much, fervor and love for the city. And I really, at this point, the Black Commission doesn't support candidates. They just share information on each candidate. But I'm gonna tell you, I hope that you had won. You were just such a emulating force, and it was lovely to see you out there running, and that's how
Well,
I met you.
well, thank you, Lauren. I've just always seen you and Greg and your youngest daughter at Actions. I didn't remember when I met you, but I'm glad
Right?
that you refreshed my recollection. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems like when you run for Congress, in particular across 18 cities and 8 counties, it seems like dog years. So I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know when or where. And because for me, I'm a fourth generation Jacksonvillian. And of course, there are 5 generations here. I have nieces and nephews here. But the reality for me is it's personal. It's who I am, it's in my DNA. My grandmother integrated the pools here. My mother integrated the courthouse. And my mother fought for African Americans to be able to take the civil service exam at the Duval County Courthouse. So now there's nothing but Black people working there. But at the time, there was no Black people working there. So for me, it's personal. I, of course, at 15 years of age, none of you probably, when I was 15, none of you were here. But at 15, I, of course, was awarded the Foot Soldier for Justice Award. You all probably don't know about Judge Santora, but Judge Santora was a notorious judge who sentenced African Americans harshly. And he
Mm.
said, if you don't like it, you should go back to Africa. And so that incensed me. And I was very angry at the time. And a very prominent pastor who was here at the time, who is now in Tallahassee, R.B. Holmes, and you typically see him on the commercials now. He's an older gentleman now, but he was very young and had an afro back then. But I had said to him, you know what, it's not right, and I'm going to pick it in front of the courthouse. And so I didn't realize I was punking him, but we call it punking. But of course, I was punking him because here I was, a 15-year-old girl, and I was like, I'm going to pick it in front of the courthouse. Nobody has to go with me. And he decided to join me, and then other pastors joined me, and then Jesse Jackson came, and the rest is history. And of course, I received the Foot Soldier for Justice Award. And I say all that to say that whether you are a native, whether you are an adult, we all have a voice. And I think I started as an agitator. I wasn't even an activist. I think I started as an agitator because it was in my DNA. But not everybody has active parents. My parents are still active. You don't see them, but when they make phone calls, it happens, you know? And it's because they are respected and they've earned the trust of people in the community. And so I think that's what we have to be mindful of as people in the community who want people to join this fight. If you give bad information or people don't see you as being trustworthy, they won't follow you and they won't come out. The difference for me, though, is as we age, we grow, and I realize that just because I have two hands does not mean that I have to engage in every fight. I choose the fights that I choose to engage in because some of them I've either have the experience and know what will happen or how to navigate in those spaces. So there's more than one way to fight. So that's the beauty of being engaged in the struggle all of my life. You know that it is continuous. The struggle continues. So I don't see it as movements. I see it as a struggle, and it's continuous because not just in Jacksonville, but around the country, you see that people, the people who are majority melanated don't get the equality and justice that the Constitution and the flag that some pledge to profess. So, for all those reasons, look, I continue to fight until, look, there is equal justice for all.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Holloway. But
You're welcome.
last but certainly not least is one of my favorite people,
What?
Angela Angela Seabrook.
Yes.
And we met because I joined, along with your husband, a movement which is now the Black Commission. Me and my husband stepped up and wanted to serve the community as it related to a variety of things, such as economics, education, medical slash mental health, um, policy slash political representation. Now we're expanding into law enforcement and police accountability, as well as another new one, um, environmental justice. And Angela, you have been so active. You were a social worker like me, which I love, but you've been so active in the movement and just making sure that everything is done with integrity, whether it is, making sure children have clothing at Christmas time, there's food through your job for Thanksgiving, and just a food bank and making sure people eat all the time. Whether it is just presenting ideas and building the Black community, it has been such a pleasure to stand alongside you. And you are the funniest person I've ever
Why, thank you, Lauren.
met. Well, you're welcome, Angela. And your husband's voice. Well, you're
He's not.
welcome.
Won't be hearing him in the background because usually he'd be right here saying something smart.
Mm-hmm.
That's a smart man.
Right.
Anywho, so yeah,
Smart.
yes. Smart. So I Angela Seabrooks. I guess you want to know a little bit about me. I'm usually about behind the scene of a lot of stuff that goes on because having two young kids, we can't both go to jail every time. Now, before children, that was another story because I started out with my activism in Atlanta when I was attending Spelman College. I think my first protest was that of I can't remember the guy's name in California. Um, he got beat up by the police.
Rodney
No,
King.
Rodney Hill.
Yeah,
Rodney
Rodney.
King. Rodney King. Who's Rodney Hill?
first
Rodney King.
I'm saying it, but I'm on mute. Yeah, Rodney King.
that was my first protest, and oh my God, I almost scared the crap out of my parents, who are two country people from South Carolina that didn't allow us to really speak out or speak up because of fear of what white people do to Black people. So when I was a part of that's what really sparked my interest in activism. And I felt that there was a need for more resources for our people. So that's where my passion lies, is just building our community up with the resources that's needed for children mainly, because adults get on my nerves. So I really don't like with adults too much. But the youth is our future, and I think they're the ones that really gonna make us go forward with everything, all these changes that's needed. Some adults we need, but yeah, most of them.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I'm currently working with United Way of Northeast Florida, and I kind of like my job a lot because it's with the mental health, which is my background. Um, and providing free mental health to kids in all of DCPS's schools is awesome. So I really get to see some of the struggles that kids are having and the families are having, and being able to bring that back to the table for the Black Commission, Urban Geoponics, all these nonprofits that we work with, just to let them know what the community is really in need of, instead of us keep duplicating the same services over and over again and not seeing any progression within the community. So um, that's all I have right now. So that sums it up.
Thank you.
You
Thank you very much. So, a little bit about my background. As I said earlier, I am a social worker. I have a bachelor's and and my master's in social work. I came from Pennsylvania, where I worked in the county position in child welfare, and then I moved on to adult mental health. I also bring with me my history with unions. I am a SEIU retired union member. At the time in Pennsylvania, when I was active, I served as president of chief shop steward of the Lehigh County Union, and then I also then went to the statewide executive board, and I served on that board for a while. I was also just a regular a regular shop steward. I was a negotiator for contracts, and I think I negotiated two different contracts, and it was something to experience. But I brought all that down here to Jacksonville. I took a moment and I actually just recently was working as a telehealth therapist, working with mostly children with mood disorders. Working with people in general, whether it's in the system of education, system of economics, system of employment, system of political slash policy, I did a lot of um, lobbying where I had to step away from my job and actually go to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and talk to legislators that were on the fence regarding Medicaid expansion. And that was really important to me because I, being someone that actually suffers from an illness, Medicaid expansion is really important. You don't have insurance, you die faster. And in the Black community, that is something that is paramount. We need to make sure our Black folks have insurance, educated about their medical issues, having access and resources to medical. And I want to just put it out here to you ladies. You know, what is it that really draws you in regards to all the different systems that we advocate for and we find important? Feel free to jump in.
So I'll jump in real quick. So when you start talking about mental wellness in the Black community, like all my senses tingle. I know that, as a young woman, I dealt with a lot of mental trauma and a lot of physical trauma that I now, at 47 years old, am still dealing with. And it's great that those conversations aren't as taboo as they used to be. It used to be, oh, they crazy, and that was it. But now we're starting to understand that, there's a deep hole, rabbit hole when you say crazy. A lot of things, you know, are now known to the Black community. So I have a lot of concern around that, but I don't myself personally work in that arena. I deal with a lot of folks who are mentally ill, and I like to have resources that I can send them to because I know how important it is. But for me, it's more about Black women and birthing. I've had 5 children myself, all in a hospital. Um, and now that I look back on it, I wish that natural birth would have been more of a common thing. And as a person who comes from California, where all the things are common, I still did, the birth in the hospital. And I had horrible experiences every single time. It was almost like I was a glutton for punishment. Even when I came down and had my last two here in Florida, I had a great doctor, but the medical system is just horrible when you have to go through Medicaid as a young Black person. And I wasn't really that young, I just didn't have any medical insurance. Um, Now as I'm starting to really walk in my purpose as a doula, I see how important it is for Black women to have an opportunity to one, be educated about natural birth, because it's not a foreign language. It really is something that ancestor wise, it was a thing that we did, and it was an empowerment for us to get ready for our children. But now we live in a world where people are afraid of just doing things holistically. They have a little bit of hesitation to endure pain, and there are ways that our ancestors have been able to maneuver natural birth that is so healthy for our community, healthy for our future generations. Our babies need to be coming into this world that they own in love. And a lot of our ritual traditions were great. Like, they empowered us. We need all the empowerment that we can get. So for me, I feel like looking at the gender justice piece is important, because the beginning is the most important for me, and how we talk about how we eat, what our children are eating, breastfeeding. Like, I don't see how anybody could look at the world we live in right now with COVID and all this stuff involving immune system and not realize how important it is that we are starting our children's life out in the beginning the best way that we can. All the things that we were taught, we now can see where they lead us. If we eat all the good soul food and use all the butters and all the oils, we know we down the road to heart attack. And what does America do for us? The medical industry will pump us up with all types of, synthetic drugs. When we have natural, holistic measures that work just as well. I'm so happy to see our city starting to open up these natural food stores, restaurants. It's like right now, Jacksonville is becoming, like, I ain't gonna say the Mecca, but we're starting to see that we could be the Mecca for natural foods and black business. I've been here for, I don't know, about 10 plus years, and I've seen this city grow like unbelievable, unbelievably. Like, a lot of people are coming here from all over the world. So I really would like to see us focus more on continuing to bring holistic measures here, continuing to have conversations about natural birth and make it the norm. A lot of young women don't even know that Medicaid will pay for you to have your baby naturally. We have to protect the art of being a doula. We don't need them putting all these extra, certifications and things on something that our ancestors did just off instinct. You can go through it.
So I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but it really has to do with educating people.
Absolutely.
It really has to do with making sure that our folks know what's available in regards to the medical background. And I would have loved to have had a doula, but I didn't know a lot about it when I had my six children. And I knew what a midwife was, but I didn't know that they were different.
They
And
are.
so, are they now covered by insurance and so on and so forth? I want to move on a little bit. So, what I wanted to ask Angela and Lashonda is tell me about, some of the systems that we talked about. Where do you find your niche? Like, where do you find your importance in regards to one of those five categories?
So I will just say, I mean, it goes without saying, considering I run for office, that I see my niche in policy and the political sphere. You may or may not know that I worked in Washington on Capitol Hill for Congresswoman Carrie Meek. And what I learned when I was working in Washington was the billions that are appropriated to each congressional district. And as a Jacksonville, Florida native, when I saw what was appropriated and I saw the conditions in my community, I realized that the dollars that were being appropriated were not making it to the community. They were making it to Florida, but it wasn't making it to our community. And so, all of the issues that you ladies have stated, each and every one of them, of course, require resources. And as citizens of these not so United States, you all pay taxes, right? And you
Hmm.
all are entitled to certain privileges as citizens, in particular when you're talking about Medicaid and Medicare. I mean, my nieces and nephews were all born underwater, but it's it's access and information. So if you don't know, it's new to you, but everybody should have access to all information, and I believe that everybody deserves an opportunity at health and education. That's just two things, but more importantly, when you talk about when you have a small business administration, those resources rarely make it to our community. And while we have we are fortunate to be in Jacksonville and have an incubator in this city. Many people are not aware of those resources, and there are 8A and 4B dollars that are specifically targeted to not only women but also disadvantaged businesses. But if you are not aware of the information, then you don't know that the information is there, and that's where I think my strength is, and why I call myself an advocate, because I've gone from being an agitator to now a legislator. We understand that there are house rules and there are committees, and so oftentimes when you're an activist, you're just wanting demands, and if you don't understand the process and understand why you may be demanding this, you may be demanding it from the wrong place, or the person who you're demanding it from does not have that authority. Because people learn about the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary, but very few people understand the nuances. And so democracy is difficult. And so we need people who understand the law. Some of you may know that I earned my law degree from the University of Florida, and that I am a civil mediator. But the reality is, I mean, so I negotiate for a living. But the reality is, look, if you don't know and don't have people who have the courage to stand up and speak up for you and understand the process, because so many times we elect people whose names we know or somebody we like, but if that person doesn't have the skill, they don't even know when to bring the lawsuit or when to challenge or when to file, And so, yes, you learn about bills and amendments, but there's rules before you even get to a bill or an amendment. And so if you don't know how to navigate within that space, then you're just holding space. And I think that's part of the problem in many of our communities. We have too many people holding space, but who don't know how to navigate the space and who can bring the dollars back to the district.
Right.
And
And I'm
that's
not,
why we need people like you, LJ. And you said so much in that statement. You could do so much in regards to the provision of resources
yeah, I
to
mean,
help.
but Dave, I mean, I'm not running. This is not me talk. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
of
not me
course.
talking as a candidate. I'm just saying that just as individual, I mean, just as a community, I think we have the power if we unite. And the
Yes.
problem is, you have, the people who are not a part of a certain organization, their ego gets involved and they'll say, well, I'm not partnering with them because they don't give me the mic, or I'm not partnering with them because my picture wasn't in the paper, or
Speak,
whatever
girl,
the foolish
speak.
whatever the foolishness is of the day. When at the end of the day, the reality is it should be about the work, period.
Right.
The work, period. Getting the
And so
work
that's
done.
where I'm going to do my shameless plug about the summit that the Black Commission is doing in September 24th, all day. And the summit is meant to be I don't like to say a think tank because we have those, but to just bring grassroots organizations together who have similar, like we have a crossroad where we have a similar purpose, which is the upliftment of Black folks. I'm just going to keep it simple. They might have other things that they work on outside of that, but we are coming together at that summit for the purpose of the upliftment. So, LaShonda, you're saying, we need to make sure that people have resources. This would be a perfect space where everybody can make sure we can make sure that everybody gets that same information so that we can share it with our folks and share it with our communities as we go back out and do other parts of our mission. But the I will be talking every podcast about the summit and what the purpose is. It is so important to have this summit because things are going against us as the Black community. We need everybody on deck. We need our allies. We need our brothers and we need our women, our strong women who are the backbone of the Black movement. for real, which is why we're here. We're going to go to Angela as in regards to that last question, this last question about what system do you think pulls you and draws you?
Well, it's always been mental health. I mean, that's my background. Those are my degrees. I can't help it. That's what I'm passionate about. Growing up as the sixth child, yes, I am the baby of six. My parents were farmers, and they were always giving food to other people in need. So I grew up in an environment that's all I know about is giving, 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 giving. And yes, I have been taken, but that's my sole purpose is to is I have a big heart, and I love to give people in need. I love to look out for those people, even when they don't look out for me. I'm not in it for no kind of nothing, really. I really don't.
Recidivism,
Yes, I just, especially when it comes to kids, I don't want any kid to go without. I didn't go without as a kid, and my passion is kids and mental health and making sure that, because again, growing up, my parents weren't aware of no mental health. My parents both have eighth grade educations. They had to drop out of school to take care of their siblings and their parents, and then take care of us. So, yeah, the mental health is something that's needed. Now my parents are getting older, I'm starting to get more and more of their background stories of things that they experienced. I grew up next door to the head KKK member in my hometown, and he refused for his kids to play with us. So I grew up in that kind of atmosphere. So my dislike or or
disdain.
yeah, disdain taste of other people is like it's deep, and I have my own middle struggle with that right now, although things are changing.
Hmm.
So
Very
I'm
mental,
glad you said that. I'm
huh?
so very glad that you said that because that's one of my biggest challenges right now is we have allies, but I also have been living long enough to know that look, oftentimes allies have ulterior
Yes,
motives. And sometimes people will come with one vein or with one face, but history has taught us
right.
who they are, and if they don't get their way, what happens, right?
Yes,
But
yes,
so I'm having a hard time accepting allies at face value because I know some people have moved to this state in particular for political office, and when they didn't have their way, they went back across the way,
yes,
right?
yes,
And but we know from slavery they taught each other, look, to infiltrate the black community, what do? You pay them, number one, and look, and you divide them. And
right.
so that's what I see with a lot of a lot of people that people call allies is
Hmm.
they pay them and then they divide them.
Right.
And I mean, you can start with, I mean, and no offense, April, but even with New Florida Majority, thank God for Soros dollars, and he has given money to lots of good candidates. But the reality is they still have their agenda. And so I don't feel like we necessarily, that's a challenge I have, but I feel like that we don't necessarily need outsiders when we have the numbers. I feel
Right.
like what we need is unity. We need to unite. I mean, at the end of the day, we have the numbers in this city. We have more registered Democrats in this city than Republicans, and there are more African. I mean, there's 183,000 registered African American Democrats when there are 243,000. So we should be running this city.
Right.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be we have to accept crumbs or accept the agenda of others. They should be trying to follow our agenda and
Yes.
follow us.
Well,
Yes.
the unity is not there, and I think it all goes right back to mental illness.
I was
You
going
know
to
what I'm
say it
saying?
started from slavery. They taught us to
Yeah,
distrust each other in
and and
slavery.
and that
And
And
so
that's
slavery
all interconnected.
interconnected. Yes,
Yeah.
PTSD from slavery all the way down to now, to where
and to be in
we
these black bodies is traumatic. Yes.
exactly. So it's until we deal with a lot of the mental illness, it's the unity. It's hard to get it there because we've been brought up or believed to be self-preservation, being out for self first, me first, and then you get it best way you can. A lot of people think that way, not me,
Not
but
me.
Yeah,
That's why
but
fat comes in.
exactly. So, the unity is what we really need. But until we get a better understanding of where we all stand,
Hmm.
mentally, and where we fit. Some people don't. They want to fit in another area in which they shouldn't even fit because it's not. It's like we're a puzzle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're a piece that don't fit in that part. So move the freak on and let the person that fits in that piece fit there. You know what I'm saying? But so
That's
many
all
people,
I said.
yeah,
Yes.
so many people are out for just selfish things in Jacksonville.
Selfish
That's
enough.
one. I can't.
Can you give an example, Angela, of what you just said? Like, what would that look like in a scenario?
Like I can take us right now, just the four of us. So if anything political comes up, I'm not gonna step my butt up there trying to talk political when I know that's not my background. I would look at LJ and be like, LJ, step in. That's your role.
Okay.
That's your position. Nubian.
Right.
Hey, I got a bunch of young girls who are like the pregnant teens in DCPS right now. They need to have somebody like Nubian go in and speak to them about their options. Nobody's telling them about their options. Everybody just telling them to go to the hospital where they don't really treat black women as 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 they do
Thank you.
white women. They
Right.
don't know all the ups and downs that black women go through when in hospitals because they think our threshold for pain is so much higher and all that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
I would ask Nubian, hey Nubian, you step in there. I wouldn't ask no degree doctor that's already has their own agenda that they were taught in college to only speak on this. I would want Nubian to go in there.
That
Okay.
she can connect.
Right. If I wanted somebody to come and speak to all the principals of DCPS about mental health, I would look at Lauren. Lauren, because Lauren can deal with the adults more so than me. I
Yeah.
know I would just go off and be like, look, y'all are just stupid. Let the
Mhm.
kids be. So that's what I mean by puzzles fitting in. And but here in Jacksonville, people have a tendency to just be power hungry, want to be seen, want to have something else they can put on their social media, something else they can put on their belt, and they're stepping in areas and arenas that they're not good at, and they're speaking out of turn that doesn't make any sense, which makes us look stupid because we're not
Exactly.
looking unified at all.
Right.
And that's
And that actually goes to my question about why you? Why you in this movement? What is it about you? And Angela, you kind of broke us down already, but I want a reflection personally. Why you in this movement, specifically in Jacksonville? Knowing what we know about post consolidation, knowing what we know about the deals that were made during
mhm.
consolidation, knowing that our men have been in the forefront of the fight in the argument. But why is it so important, as you as a black woman, to be in the forefront as well, and to also step in the forefront and say, that's not right, da, 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 whatever that looks like. Anybody can take that
Nubian, you muted. You gotta unmute
You're
yourself.
muted.
Unmute yourself, Nubian.
Thank you. I'm unmuted, Angela.
question.
Well, it's been a real like blast listening to you ladies speak, and I just want to address something that LJ was saying about organizations. I 100% agree with you, and in fact, I'm here today in representation of myself and my organization, Melanin Mamas, because as I work in organization space, and I realized that these are jobs. These are
Yes.
jobs for me, and that the real activism and advocating is done when I'm not at work. I realized that, a lot of things that I thought a lot of the bigger nonprofits would be doing for our community, they're not. And in fact, a lot of our ideas as Black women and Black men are being taken and, just not really, being used effectively in our communities and long after we're gone from these organizations. So as I grow in organization work, because I feel like I'm still kind of a baby, a little toddler,
You
um,
are.
although I, yeah, have risen to, the task of fighting on the forefront, I'm learning every day. And I learn from, you women, and I appreciate that. And I think that my place here in this community is one that is very uncomfortable for me. Like, I never had any intention ever of getting involved in social justice, activism, advocating, none of that. I'm a mother first, a wife, and I want my children to grow in a place where they're respected, where their lives are respected, where they have a shot and a chance, just like everyone else. So what I bring to the table is that motherly nurturing spirit. I'm a person who doesn't have to be in the spotlight. I actually appreciate being a person who can mentor the next into the spotlight because I don't feel like it's really my place. But I play my part when I have to play my part because I would rather it be me being the voice of our community than somebody who's not from our community, don't really care about our community, and is not invested in our community. So that's why you see me sometimes step to the forefront and speak, but never am I the one to raise my hand first. But I am the first person to get to the real of it. I will call anybody out. I believe in true accountability, whether it be my accountability or someone else's. That's why I don't really get caught up into certain things like party affiliations and networking affiliations. I don't care about none of that. When I go to Tallahassee, I always want to bring community members because I want them to understand how things work in our legislation, how things work in our government. A lot of the folks in our community don't even realize that much. They don't even know what the state attorney's role is and why it's important for us to have one that that represents us, that looks like us, that can even, come to our hoods and understand what's happening. So the part that I play is a nice piece. It's an educational piece, and I like my part because I'm close to the community. I don't understand the people of Jacksonville. I'll never be one to say that I do, but what I am good at is being a person who understands people and I meet them where they are. I don't think that I'm better than anyone because I come from a very shady background. I told y'all that in the beginning. Okay? Thug by nature. I got a little bit of Tupac in me and a little bit of Malcolm X. And then somewhere in the background, Harriet Tubman is, what I'm saying, doing
And
some.
Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
Video
Now,
Compton.
you can't have Pac and Biggie in you.
She's from
Yes, you
That's too
Dallas,
can.
much. That's too
California.
much.
Yes, you can.
She's not a big girl.
I'll take a little Kim, and a little Pac. But I feel that it's important for women like me who I look very young, but I have some age up under my wings, and I have some wisdom and culture that I bring. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a lot of folks here that have never left Jacksonville. They don't know
Yes.
anything but Jacksonville. So I try to paint a picture sometimes for people and just make them feel comfortable. I ain't gonna say everybody really gets me because I'm a weirdo, but I'm willing to, stay in the trenches with you. I'm willing to, help you find a job. I don't ever go out just asking people for something. I always come prepared to give something, whether it just be my light. So I didn't get into this for anything other than to make Jacksonville a better place for my children. Now it's become, a God given ordainment, I'll say. It's like my ministry. I can't not help. I cannot, get involved because it's just in me, it's expected of me, and it's a higher power. So how I see myself moving in this city is just being one of the many foot soldiers that God has put here, warrior women, to really incite change and to be there for my sisters. I'm y'all's handmaiden. Anything y'all need, y'all could call on me, and I'm here for you best that I can.
Don't
Okay.
say handmaids. I can't go. I can't go
Like,
there. I can't. I
what
can't do
Yeah,
that.
about
there goes
When
Squeaky.
I say handmaiden, I feel like
I'm
we
just
we
playing.
we as black women, we can service each other and also be leaders, right?
Okay.
If
exactly?
you need me, I could be there in support of you. I don't have to come there and take over your thing. You right?
Okay. I thought
Angela
you was gonna
and
go into
Oh,
Lashonda.
being.
the handmaiden tale,
No,
Angela.
I thought you were
Okay.
gonna
Well,
go into
I'm gonna
being.
say, look, if you see me falling,
Angela and
pick me up.
Lashonda.
Look, so
Why
yeah,
you?
I get the
Why
hit me.
you?
I need a hit me. I'm sorry. What'd you
Why
say,
you?
Lauren? Oh, why me? One because I think it's funny to hear Vivian say she's a weirdo, and I'm like, you know what? I call myself a little crazy because you have to be a little crazy to run against the establishment. You have to
Yes.
be a little crazy to run against someone who's been in office for 24 years. But I think me because I am courageous, and in these times, desperate times calls for desperate measures, and so
Yes.
I'm not beholden to anybody. I don't accept their money. I don't play their games. I speak what I want to speak, and and I say what needs to be said when I
Right.
feel it is appropriate to say it, not because somebody tells me to say it or when to say it or how to say it, but more importantly, we can talk all day. We can advocate all day, but unless we are in a seat of power to make the change, we're doing just that, talking. So if
Absolutely.
Yes.
not now, when, and if
Right.
not me, who? I mean, and
Right.
I'll step aside if we find somebody who is not beholden to the establishment, to someone, who is independent and free. But because I am independent and free, that's why I think it's me and now.
Yes.
Oh,
Miss Angela.
I can't even come
Great.
after that.
That's a
I can't even
beautiful.
come after that. But blessed
Yes,
be
you
the
can.
fruit.
Blessed be the fruit from the handmaid's tale. You are really doing the most now.
Why me? I don't think that's. I wouldn't say it is me. It's just something that's internal in me. I mean,
Passionate.
I grew up with it in me, and I mean, it's no specific reason. It's just something that I have in me to do. I can't avoid doing it. Although I have a husband that says we're gonna take a break, and that break never comes. I'm like, dude, I thought we was gonna take a break. There's always something, and I'm like, good lord, when can we take a break? But
Right.
you
It's
know,
always something.
it's always
Yeah.
something. And I'm like, okay, so these little breaks that we get every now and then, I really cherish them. But I wouldn't say it's why me. It's not why not me. You know what I'm saying? Why not
Exactly.
all of them? Why
Absolutely.
not the
Exactly.
why not the youth?
And we
Exactly.
all have gifts and skills.
Exactly.
Yes.
I figure out where I fit, and I just fit in that position, and I don't worry about, those in front of me, back of me. As long as the puzzle comes together in the end, and the puzzle is something that unifies us all, that's all I want. That's all I'm looking forward to.
At the end of the day.
What I'm hearing from all three of you is commitment and dedication,
Right.
which is something that we definitely need in the Black community. And women have a way not just to nurture, but to agitate, to advocate, to be
Activate.
the stirring force, to come up with the ideas, the leadership. It's just been a pleasure to listen to all that you have said in regards to the things that you've been working on, who you are, sharing that vulnerable part, because we are vulnerable as women, but
Mhm.
we don't play. We're strong.
Mhm.
We intimidate. And I think that's sometimes where we get our resistance. But I'm not going to talk about resistance today. I'm going to talk about how we move things forward. Let me ask you before we end this podcast, where do you think Black Jacksonville will be in 3 years?
Hmm.
I'll start. Nowhere. Same place we're at right now. I'm just saying, we have so much work to do. I know it's not what you want to hear, but it's like I feel like sometimes we take 2 steps forward and then we get pushed 5 steps back. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like
Yeah.
it's a continual struggle to keep people attention, and and it seems like something major always got to happen in order to get a bunch of people to realize the situation that we're in. And then after a year, not even a year, we'll make it 3 to 4 months, and then, oh, that happened so long
The
ago,
next
and
thing will
then
come around.
move on to the next thing, which is not. So to me, I don't see the progression within 3 years. I really don't. Maybe
Okay.
5, maybe 8. That's stretching it, but nothing in 3.
And what would that progression look like still?
Ugh.
Will we have more stores and um, small businesses that are either
I'm
online
hoping
available?
we have more political power. Is what
Okay.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing we need in order to make all the progression within our community. Right now, we have no political power and no political representation. Until
You're
we have
right.
that and have somebody in office that's going to speak for us and be for us, there won't be any changes for our community. For me, but
I agree.
LJ, you can go
And
ahead and tell me.
everything is
Because
political.
my heart is broken, Angela. I'm like, oh my God, are you losing hope? Look,
No.
so I'm going to say number one, never give up hope. I
Never
mean, look,
give up.
our strength is built on hope. I mean, our ancestors, that's all they had was hope. They were slaves and all they had was hope. So you can't ever lose hope. And
I didn't say
I am going,
I didn't hope. I just don't see it.
I know you said I don't see it in 3
I don't
years. I'm
see it
like, no,
anywhere
where
near.
you wrong. Okay, so but let me say this. Okay, when we say, look, well, one we hear all the time, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. So, ladies, you know what? We that's why mental health is so important because we do need to learn how to feed our spirit because the fight is ongoing, and take the time to nurture yourself and give yourself permission, like Simone Biles did, to say, hey, I need to take a time out.
Yes.
But the
Yeah.
work continues. Just because you take a time out doesn't mean the work continues. The work continues. And so it's ongoing and it's ever evolving. And so I am going to say that one, Angela, it can change. One, we have a Senate race, congressional races in 2022. We are already halfway through 2021. And so I'm saying if we elect the first African American female senator from the state of Florida, okay, that's powerful and that will help us get a stronger footing in the Senate. And if we elect, if we elect someone to represent the 5th Congressional District in Congress, look, who is strong and courageous, because I haven't seen the current representative. I never see him, but because he has name recognition, look, they know him. He gets
Right.
the seat, but he doesn't do the work. So
Oh
one,
Lord, we done got what LJ started.
no, I'm not there. No, it's not personal. It's not
No,
personal.
I'm just, I'm just
It's a
saying.
reality. So
You know
what
your
I'm saying
stuff.
is, while she's saying that she doesn't see the progress for 3 years, we also have 10 seats that are up for city council
There
in
you
in
go.
2023. We have sheriff available in 2023. We have mayor available in 2023, and we
Yep.
also have. We have all those seats that are available that will become
Yeah.
available in 2023. So for all those reasons, those are 2 years away. So why
Yeah.
can't we see change within the next 3 years? The onus, I believe, is on us. The onus is on us to tell. Each one of us has a sphere of influence. You know the people in your circle. I know the people in my circle. And we all know people, that are in circles that we're not a part of, but we may have influence in. So I'm saying that the onus is on us to not only come together, but say what the agenda is, what we need to do, and to be unified. One, each and every last one of us on this call, and I'm sorry, on this Riverside, and on this Riverside, we know at least 10 people. We need to make sure that one, they are registered to vote, but more importantly, make sure their voter registration has not been purged.
Mm.
And each and every one of us on this call should have already saved in our phone area code 202-224-3121, which is the Capital Switchboard, to be able to call your member who represents you in the Senate and in the House and make sure that they pass the Voting Rights Act and the For the People Act. That's right now. That's what we need to be
Yes.
doing right now.
Yeah.
And if we're not doing that right now, then we not only will the city not change, we haven't helped to change it. And so I
Right.
believe that, look, if Black women can build this country, because we did on our backs, we took care of Miss Ann man, our children, their children, and then us. And we built this country. Yes, we did. And
Yes,
if we
we
can
did.
build a country, certainly we deserve voting rights, and
Yeah.
certainly we can change the trajectory of this city.
Yes.
And look, you all are strong. Look, one is giving birth to 6, one is giving birth to 5. If that ain't strong, my name ain't LaShonda L.J. Holloway.
And that is
So
also
I am
crazy.
saying the onus is on us. I'm not looking
Yes.
for anybody else to see it the way I see it.
Right.
But I am saying to you, you know within your heart, look what you're made of. Angela, you said
Right.
yourself, you came from farmers with no education, but they sent you to Spelman College, the most expensive HBCU. You hear
There
me?
you go.
Because they had a work ethic. No. Be proud of that.
No,
I'm
it's
a
just,
fourth.
where's the
No.
pen, bro?
Be proud of that. I'm a fourth generation college graduate, but I want you to know that when my grandfather came to Jacksonville, look, he came to go to EWC, and it wasn't even EWC then, right?
Dub.
But hear me when I say to you, but he sent 6 children to college, and there was no financial aid back then, but it was blood, sweat, and tears hard work, and he worked at the Florida Times Union, and he had more education than his white supervisor, but his office was in a broom closet. So if he can take stuff from those people and have an office in a broom closet, certainly we can change the trajectory of this city.
Yeah.
And this is why our summit, the Black Commission Summit on September 24th, all day, we'll be talking about these issues. We will definitely have keynote speakers that will be speaking about voter oppression and how we all collectively can improve our status and how we are being treated and how we oppose the oppression and how we encourage people to register to vote and how we make sure people know the information about how many candidates we have forthcoming. So that is why we're having the summit, is to share information and to make sure that we all come together collectively to build and make sure that the Black community is not oppressed anymore. And Lashonda is definitely on point. Nubian, can I get some information from you about how you foresee the Black community to be moving forward?
So it's funny you asked me that. When I saw that question, I was just like, oh, wow. This is crazy because I literally had a vision. And I'm not a big dreamer. I'm a Pisces. They say we're dreamers, but I don't dream often.
Yeah, we have one.
I had a vision after I looked at the sign that they were going to put in Jax. And my ancestors, God, all the spirits came to me and told me that we are going to be all right. We are going to move forward. Our arts community is going to continue to grow. Like I said, I'm not from Jacksonville. The first time I came to Jacksonville, Jacksonville ain't have a lot to offer, especially for me, a person coming from California. I've seen our city grow through all the obstacles. Angela's 100% right. Sometimes we take two steps backwards just to take one step forward, but when we take that step forward, it's a giant step. And
Yeah,
what I see is people moving here that are changing the dynamic of what this city is like. I see black women creating businesses all over the place, vending all over the place. So I'm expecting the black business to move up, and I see black women leading this movement with products. I see in us becoming a little baby Atlanta in some sorts, but we still have control over how we want to move with it, right? Um, I see a lot of really great things coming to us through this oppression that's happening right now. All these bills that our governor has put out to try to destroy us is going to be used for our good, I promise y'all.
yeah,
It's just setting us up for the come up.
yeah,
Once we all just keep the positive thoughts going and not let the negative come in and start talking to our communities about these offices that are coming available, people do one or two things. When the oppression gets hard, either they just lay down and die, which COVID is going to cover that for, unfortunately, for us, for a lot of people. The people that just want to give up are just going to give up, and the people that are going to fight are going to fight through COVID. They're going to stay here, and then they're going to realize, hey, there's something wrong with our medical system. Hey, there's something wrong with all the things that are afflicting us now. So all of this negative stuff that's coming for me is just making way for positive,
mm-hmm,
making way for new, making way for fresh. So the first thing we know we got to do is anticipate this mayor getting up out of office, because we need somebody better in charge of our money. So
mm-hmm.
it's a great opportunity for us to find that candidate, because I don't think we have it yet. I done heard some names, but them names ain't ringing no bells for me. It's gonna be,
Amen.
yeah, it's gonna be something new and fresh, and we need it. And once we get that in office and into play, then we're gonna start changing up everything. We have an opportunity for a new start. We just gotta keep our eyes open. We gotta stay focused. I'm telling y'all, the last time I went out there canvassing, when I was working the last campaign, yes, I know they're about to change the district. I think they're going to try to mess us up this year, and it's going to end up working for our good. And what's going to happen is these communities are going to start looking different. Yes. They're going to start feeling different. Yes. But the black people that are in these communities, because we all over the place in Jacksonville,
Yeah,
you can just put
yeah,
us, we ain't just on the north side, we on the south side, we on the west side, we at the beaches, we all over here. Eventually we are going to be that force that needs to be reckoned with, and we're going to start showing ourselves. So I see the progression coming for Jacksonville on the arts spectrum, on the political spectrum. I think that people are just going to get so sick and tired for the next 2 years that that third year everybody going to pop up and pop out and realize that it's a 9111 emergency. And I'm telling y'all, this voting, upcoming voting campaigns is gonna look different than anything we ever did before. Cause we really we got a lot of wind under our wings right now. We still been turning Duval blue over and over again. Okay? Now the Democratic Party can't really do nothing without us, and I don't see them showing as much love as they need to, but we're gonna start making some demands. I'm gonna start getting some people to come show up at those meetings. If we can
Good.
start getting our people to show up at those meetings, we can start getting people to start doing their job.
I'm
Because
glad
Right.
the
you
problem is
said
they don't see
that.
enough of us in the audience.
I don't think it's about us being at the at the meetings, because what they have done is we need more black people to be PCPs, because that's what happens. We will show up, but we aren't precinct committee persons, and so we don't have a vote when it comes to the agenda and how the money is spent. And so that's why they want to do this, this stacked voting. But the reality is we have to teach people the process. So when I ask people,
Exactly.
hey, please be a PCP, I'm not trying to be your mama. I understand the process. I need you to be a PCP so you can have a vote, so money can come to our community. Because just
Right.
going in there, I'm not in love with any party, but I realize to get something done,
You need a
I
party.
am a Democrat, and the way to get it done is through the Democratic Party. But
Right.
I'm not blind. Ray Charles could see it. But at the
Hmm.
end of the day, you have to be at the table in
Got to.
order to make a change. And so I
Exactly.
am
So just getting
saying,
the people to the meeting for our community is where we educate them. So when I say let's just get them to the meetings, let's get them in the audience
well,
because
I
that's
say
how.
let's just get this, just take the seat. And I'm just telling y'all now that I am going to run for Congress again, because
Okay.
I haven't seen the
Yay.
leadership. And I haven't seen the leadership, and I'm like, call me crazy, but I'm gonna run till I see the leadership I'm looking for.
Good.
Right. You keep running
Good.
to the list, and I'm gonna keep canvassing. So we'll be out there for you, LJ.
Amen. I mean, but that's what it takes. I mean, at
Now,
the end
with
of the
that
day,
being said,
oh, sorry. I forget we're recording. I'm just talking to y'all like we're around the corner. Sorry.
you know what? And that's good because I wanted to produce a comfortable setting where we all just sat and chatted and just caught up and we appreciate everything that you've been doing, Lashonda. I can't say it enough. I love to see you out in the community because it is your community. You
Right,
know
but
your
but
community.
I'm doing stuff behind the scenes, so you don't
You
see
are.
me, but
Yep.
I'm writing.
But when we see you haphazardly, it's
Yeah.
always a pleasure.
Yeah, so when
Nubian, thank
I
you
come
so
in
much.
to stand in solidarity and support. Look,
Thank
I
you.
think old heads should be trying to write policy or effectuate change. But when I show up to show other people, see, this is what it looks like. Go stand up and support the babies. Look,
Right.
so it warms my heart every time I go to an action. I like, remember when I used to be so and so.
But you're still there, so that's a good thing, and that's definitely something that we all should live up to. Once again, it's a pleasure, and thank you so much, Nubian. Thank you for bringing your positive energy here to this discussion.
And Nubian,
It
I
was
forgot you were a Pisces. Yeah, I really, yeah, but because it's real, that says a lot about your energy. That's why you're so passionate.
yeah, but thank you for being who you are, Nubian.
Thank
And Miss Angela, I guess she got disconnected, but I truly thank her for being here with us and sharing her viewpoint and her passion as well for who she is. It's been a wonderful discussion about Black women in the movement. And this will definitely, hopefully, influence other women to come forth and join the fight because we need more Black women to join the Black movement. But you guys are people movers, I'm telling you, and just amazing. So, with that, I'm going to say goodbye. The Black Commission thanks you for sharing space with us today, and we'll see you next time. Take care.